Hi everyone, Charlotte here from Enriching Environments. It is Tuesday evening and it is 8:30 here in Dubai, and welcome to Top Tip Tuesday on Instagram Live. And this evening we are going to be... Hi there! Hello everyone that's joining. This evening we are going to be talking about Montessori. Hi Nada, at home. Montessori parenting. What is it all about? And I love this topic because when we say Montessori, or anyone says Montessori, it conjures up loads of really, it can conjure up loads of conflicting views. Actually, it's really interesting. Some people can think that it's too controlling, or some people will say, oh, it's too free, it's not structured enough. Some people say it's too structured. It can be seen as because of the perfect shelves you see and this image of Montessori being immaculate, it can be seen that it's only for a certain type of person in a socio-economic group. It could be just for a certain race as well. There's definitely an element of Montessori which is improving, but for a very long time the predominant colour of skin and background demographic for Montessori and the image of Montessori and how it was portrayed, it was very much portrayed to white Europeans, or certainly whites, and without actually, and that's really a shame because that really came away from the cultural richness that is imbued by a Montessori classroom, the cultural richness that Dr. Montessori sought, and the interdependence of life on earth and the respect of all life on earth. So that's really what she wanted to imbue in children, knowing that children obviously of course are the future and so are the pathway to peace. So it's a real shame that it became quite elitist, and there's so many amazing Montessorians and schools and individuals and parenting mentors all over the world doing really amazing community projects and school projects to really uplift it and to really use it as a tool for social equality, which is what was Dr. Montessori's vision, actually, social equality, to create a more peaceful and harmonious world. Education for peace was her benchmark, it was her mission. Hi there, hi Annabelle. Education for peace was her mission. She lived through 2 world wars and she saw the devastation that reaped on in so many countries, and all the loss of life that was so tragic. And so education for peace education was really, really her vision. She was nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize twice. She was with Gandhi in India around the time in 1949 when there was independence from the British Empire. So peace was woven into her work. Everything that she did. Hi Annabelle. And so Montessori in the home, so I guess your next question is going to be, how do we then weave Montessori in the home, into the home? Let's particularly start, our children don't go to Montessori school, but how can we bring Montessori practices into the home? What does it mean to be a Montessori parent? What does it mean to have a Montessori home? Well, there are millions of answers to this, and actually, as you've probably seen in my podcast series, there are the Montessori Mission. If you haven't had a chance to catch it, I'd really recommend. Hi there. I would really recommend you going to see the Montessori Mission. It's on IGTV, it's on YouTube, it's on Spotify, and it's on my website as well. So there's episode 1 and 2 being released. Episode 3 is going to be released this week, later on this week. And I've asked, in this podcast series, I've asked the same 10 questions to 10 Montessorians from around the world, and to get their unique perspective. And obviously the questions are the same, but the answers are different. So it's really, really interesting. And I've gone for different demographics as well. Episode 3, which is forthcoming on Thursday, Friday this week. That's from Nusaiba from Rumi Montessori. She has a pioneering Islamic Montessori school in Malaysia. Then we have Trisha Mokino, who is a powerful voice for the Keres people in New Mexico. We've had Akshata, who is a positive discipline educator. She goes by the handle Manvi and Me. and she is working with Indian families in Chicago in integrating Montessori and Indian culture. So there's a really diverse bunch of people on the podcast, and so what you will see what you hear when you listen to it is that Montessori is hugely diverse, and how you can implement it in the home is separate from your child going to Montessori school. So what it would mean to me, and these are the bullet points or the spider chart that I did earlier, and it probably would change every 5 minutes what it actually means to me, or what Montessori at home is, what the Montessori way of life is. So for me, it's my understanding is that from what I've read and being in the classroom with my own children who are 4 and 6, it's a way of being with children, either other children or our own children, that allows them to unfold naturally. It's really freeing their soul, or allowing their soul to unfold without us projecting our stuff on them. And that means by developing them into capable human beings. So with Montessori in the early years, we hear a lot of people talking about independence, and we're trying to create a child who's independent. And that can get slightly confusing sometimes, because people can misunderstand that and think that we mean that our children should be doing things, by themselves, and we should make them more autonomous, and we should not have them emotionally reliant on us and all those things. But it's not that at all. What independence means in the early years is we are guiding and teaching and leading our children to do things for themselves, not by themselves. So that's a really important second point for Montessori at home. We're teaching children to do things for themselves so that they can become capable, contributing members of their community. And that's what it is in the early years, because what you build in when you get to, thank you, hi Akshita, when you get to the elementary age, and this is really interesting for me because my daughter is 6.5, she's in elementary Montessori. That's when they start learning about the interdependence of life on earth. And the reason that the independence is so important in the first plane development, the 0 to 6, why we are teaching them to become independent in the things that they do so that they're capable contributing human beings, is that when we get to the second plane, when we get to 6 years old, and then they then start learning about the interdependence of life on earth, it's called cosmic education if you want to look it up. That's when, because they are so developed in independence, and because they know how to look after themselves, and they know how to look after others in their family or their community, because they learnt that in the early years, then when we get to the elementary years, it all makes sense. They see how it all fits together. So Montessori isn't about independence, it's actually about interdependence in the bigger picture. But in the early years, we focus on independence so they can become capable. So when they're capable and they turn 6, around the age, then they start to look around. They look around and they're like, okay, what can I offer? What can I give? So this is why we talk so much about independence in the early years, because it actually develops into interdependence. And this was so important for Montessori, because Dr. Montessori, because she saw that when we truly understood interdependence, then we will have a more peaceful world, because no matter where the war is in the world, everyone is going to be affected in either directly or indirectly because of the interdependence of all life on earth. So this is why interdependence, peace education was so important for Dr. Montessori, and how we create it in the home from the early years is we support our child in becoming independent, from doing things for themselves, for helping them learn to dress, from helping them learn to, you provide, for example, if we're talking about a piccolini, a toddler, you provide some basic practical life, what we call it, cleaning materials, so that they can clean the environment for themselves, so that they can sweep and mop and clean, because they're becoming a capable member of community. Contributing member of the community. They love to clean, toddlers, for example, and this adds up to the bigger picture of contributing members of a community who are ready to give, because they see the impact of what it means like to live in a community, whether it's a home community or a school community. So independence / interdependence, confident, capable, contributing humans, that there are two big elements of Montessori parenting. So we are seeking to give the child the skills that they need for the future. Also for me, Montessori parenting, Montessori at home, it's being hands off, it's observing, it's being with our child more than doing with our child. It's really observing them to see where they are, observing to understand, observing just to be in the present moment, which is actually sort of like a meditation in itself when we observe a small child. That's what Montessori is for me. It's sort of like the antithesis of helicopter parenting that sort of everyone talked about like 10, 15 years ago. It's very much observing, stopping, waiting. When something happens, just wait to see how it plays out. Wait to see what the reactions are. See your child as the best version of themselves. Know that children are always doing the best that they can. If they could behave better, they would, but there must be a block somewhere. And it's nothing, and it's not to blame us as parents. It's just every behavior, all behavior is communication. It doesn't make them wrong or naughty or bad or any of those other things. It's just communication. So for me, Montessori at home is all about observation, just, as I say, being with our child rather than doing, see what it is, let them lead you. It's all, it's child-led. The whole premise is it's child-led learning. So let the child lead you. When you sit down to play with your child, let them guide you in the play. Let them, hi Glambox, let them see first, observe first what they're doing. Keep your hands off and then wait for them to invite you. If they look up at you and smile and seem to invite you, then join in. If they don't want to, if they're just playing and they're concentrating, then don't interrupt them. So it's really much that hands off. It's a very intuitive way of being with our children. And Montessori parenting, Montessori at home, also to me, it's the other terms we can use for it. More modern terms would be mindful parenting, intentional living, and conscious parenting. Obviously, these are more modern terms, but it's all really under the same umbrella of allowing our children to naturally unfold without us projecting that we think they should be a doctor or an actor or a sportswoman or whatever. It's trying to be so comfortable with ourselves that we don't project our stuff onto our child. And that is a lifelong journey, so don't worry if you're not getting it when your child's a baby. It really is a process. It's a process of unfolding. As our child unfolds, we unfold because we learn more as well. We learn more about ourselves. We learn where our blocks are. We learn what wounds we have to heal from childhood. We learn what painful memories we have. We learn how we react, and we just do a little dig into why we react that way. So it's being rather than doing. It's observing. It's seeing what's really happening before we react or respond. And I guess the final thing I'd like to say about what Montessori at home is, what Montessori parenting is simplicity. Less is more, for sure. And even though we see all the beautiful shelves of Montessori in people's homes and things, what is the dominant feature in these is that generally it's very simple. It's very structured in a good way. Structured is not the word. Ordered. It's very ordered, so that the child can see, in terms of child development terms, a child has a strong sense of order in the early years. And so if we can just have a shelf, even if it's one shelf and one area, if it's a rug on the floor and the child returns their toys, the things that they're going to work with, back there. Just that simple thing of the child returning back to where the toy belongs. That's really, really powerful. So the simplicity in that, it doesn't need fancy. If you have the resources to buy, the Montessori toys for the early years, that's great. But if you don't think you're doing anything wrong, the Montessori approach and piece through education is our way of being. It's not the shelves that we have. The physical environment is just a tiny part of the whole. Of course, we want to bring some order. We want to bring some simplicity. We want to turn the screen off. We want to get rid as much plastic as possible. So we just have things that are not of value in terms of monetary value. We want to just really strip things down to things that are enriching, hence enriching environments. We just want things to be enriching for them. And if that means one beautiful wooden puzzle of different size and shape and colour blocks, and that's all they have, then that's absolutely fine. If what they have to play with is a couple of teddies and some pots and pans and wooden spoons, that's absolutely fine. If your resources allow you to have lots and lots and lots of different things, then that's fine too. However, children they learn best, they're able to see through the noise in a simple environment, an ordered environment. It doesn't need to be fancy or expensive. It just needs to be simple and ordered, so that they can basically, external order in the environment leads to internal order inside them. So it's the simplicity that's important rather than the actual items. Plastic is not great for children just because it doesn't provide any sensory feedback. Usually it's cheap and cheerful, they can throw it and it doesn't break, it doesn't matter. And that's the type of consumerist culture we want to move away from. Coming back to my original point about being confident, capable, contributing members of the community and then the wider world. The more plastic we use and we consume, the more that's clogging up our oceans and our rivers and our waterways and doing goodness knows what's to the ecosystem. So we just want to move away from plastic because there's already so much, we've got an excess of it, and we don't need lots and lots of toys. A couple of wooden spoons will be absolutely fine for a baby to play with, a baby to explore. And some pots and pans to bang on. Children will make music out of everything. So it's not that you need to spend a lot of money. So the simplicity is the key thing. So thank you so much for joining me, everyone. And for a recap, let's group it into 3 things. So for me, Montessori at home, Montessori parenting is guiding our children towards being independent in the things that they do, autonomous in the things that they do in the early years, so that they have an appreciation of the interdependence of life on Earth as they come into the age 6 to 9 bracket. That's the first really important thing. The second is that we want to focus on observing them, being with them rather than doing things with them, keeping our hands off, being intentional with how we interact with them, being conscious of our triggers, allowing them to unfold. My basis for Montessori is a way of being with children that allows them to unfold naturally. And that's so beautiful to me. And then the third thing that we do that would make us a Montessori parent, the way that we practice Montessori at home, is just simplicity. That's it. So our 3 key areas are supporting them in becoming autonomous, so they're capable and confident contributing members of a community. Secondly is us to have our hands off, observe, be more than do. And third thing is simplicity. It doesn't need to be perfect, but just a few simple toys in an ordered way on a shelf or on a rug on the floor. That's all our children need. So that for me is Montessori. It's a way of life. Your children don't need to go to a Montessori school to imbue these values. You don't need to be a Montessori educator to imbue these values. It's very much how we are showing up in the world for ourselves and for our children, how we can show up for the world collectively for future generations, what we can do to make a difference. So I hope you've enjoyed this evening, and if you want to dive deeper into Montessori is a way of life, then please do join my summer mentoring program. This is really exciting because it's starting this coming Sunday 25th of July is when we will have, we will launch the course. We will have our first group call on Sunday, the 25th of July at 8 p.m. Gulf Standard Time. So please do join me for that. If you'd like more information, you can listen to my IGTV from last Tuesday, the 13th of July, because that gave you all of the details about the course. There's posts on my feed, in my stories, and you can go to my shop. There's a link in my bio to go to my shop, and then you can read all about the course. There's an introductory video to watch there, short couple of minutes one there as well. So the course is a 6-week program. It's an introduction to Montessori at home through enriching environments. It's 6 modules, 6 weeks. 6 live calls, 6 videos, 6 affirmations, and 6 downloadable homework packs, which include journaling prompts. It's going to be a transformative journey. It's very foundational, and we're going to build on it as we go through. But I'm really, really excited. I can't wait for you all to join me. And if you want to sign up, just click the link in the bio and follow the link through to my website. You'll have all the information you need. Just DM me if there's anything else that you need. Thanks so much for joining me, everyone, this evening. And wishing you all a lovely evening or day, wherever you are in the world. And I look forward to, and Eid Mubarak to everyone who's celebrating Eid. We have a lovely long Eid holiday this week here in Dubai. Thanks so much for joining me, and I'll speak to you soon. Take care.